All right. We're back with the Chris and Ryan show. Guys, hope everyone's well. We're joined today with our special guest, Jamal. How you doing, Jamal?
Very well. How you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You also go by the name of PAPAJGUN as well. That's your kind of creative name, isn't it? So we can go into...
I stumbled on it.
You stumbled on it, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can go through that. I think our best place to start, before we even go to... you know, you growing up and what childhood was like, is to just have a little brief 2-minute summary of, like, you know, who you are and what you do, just so everyone that's listening, you know, knows who you are.
I'm Jamal. I'm a son. I'm a father of 2. I'm a photographer, and I'm also into music. And I live in Edinburgh.
Cool, nice one. Okay then, well, let's our first question with all guests is how, you know, what childhood was like, where you grew up, and the things that you found helped you navigate your way through life, and kind of how you got up to the present day.
Yeah, well, I was born in London, me and my older sister, and when I was about 4 years old, 5, my mom and my dad took us back to Nigeria because they wanted us to know where we were from. So I grew up in Nigeria. I lived a good life in Nigeria. I'm not going to deny that. Good school, good house. Mom and dad looked after us. And then I came back to live in London when I was about 17, I think. I came back for holidays a couple of times, but I didn't start living. Because in Nigeria, they always reminded you, people always reminded you, you're from London. You were born in, you know, everything you do in Nigeria was colonized by the British. So even our education system is based on, everything is based on the British way. Nearly everything, anyway. So yeah, I came back to London when I was about 17 years old, started living, and I went to college, and I had to work. And then I had to face what every other person in Britain, because, you know, when in Nigeria, oh God, I can't talk about my life without going there, so I'm just going to talk about it. You get back, you're all happy, you get into college, you see your cousins, your aunties, you're working part-time. And then it took me 2 years down the road, something started happening, and I didn't understand what it was until my cousins explained it to me. You know, all of a sudden, racism came into my life. And I'm going to be honest with you, that word didn't exist when I was in Nigeria. Like, literally, it didn't exist. I didn't even know that word. You know, the only thing I know, I know history very well, so I'm aware of, you know, slavery and things like that from when they taught us about it, you know. So, and you just look at that, and Nigeria got their independence in the 60s. So you don't, all the other bit didn't exist until you came here. And I'll just be talking to my cousin, oh, I was on the bus, and this guy was angry with me, and I don't understand why. And I'm just talking, and she'll ask me questions. What did he say? And I'll tell her. She'll be like, oh, he shouldn't have said that to you. I'm like, why not? Why can't he say that? You know, it took me 2.5 years to 3 years to understand it.
Fucking hell. And this was when you were like 17.
Yeah, it didn't matter what the person said to me. I was like, why is he angry? Because as far as I was concerned, I should be the angry one. If anybody's going to be angry in terms of color and history and race, you know, because I'm the one that my history says we were, you know, colonized, there was slavery, colonization, and yet I'm not the angry one. Or my parents didn't even bring me up to hate by colors, you know. So it took me a while to understand that. I didn't get it. It took us that asked nearly everyone that was born here, or not even born here, that came here, that didn't grow up here, like go through, you know, from a certain age. You don't understand it because you don't even believe that can be a reason not to like me. So anyway, then I went to college. I was studying film and video. Actually, I was a child. I used to be on television in Nigeria and on the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
On TV.
Because on my way to school, I always, like, imagine your BBC or your ITV, STV, and when taking you to school, imagine you pass there every day. Because my primary school and my secondary school were in the same place. One day at the age of 15, I don't know, I was coming back from school. I don't know where I got this guts from. I just decided to go into the BBC, our NTA.
Yeah.
Imagine you go and ask for like a Trevor McDonald, one of the top news people. And the reception looked at me and goes, why do you want to speak to her? And I went, I want to act. And she went, okay, give me a second. So I thought she actually was going to call that big star, you know.
Yeah.
And then came boss. She still called a producer, a real producer. And he came down and said, how can I help you, young man? And I went, I want to act. And he went, you want to act? And I went, yeah. And he went, okay, come with me upstairs. So he took me upstairs into this big office with like about 30 people. They all had their tables, but it was quite busy and noisy. So I'm thinking, okay, he's going to take me to a private room or one-to-one or whatever. And he says, I should give him 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, he gives me this script. Here, read that. My heart sunk. I was like, oh God, what am I doing here? Before all these people, I have to learn, like, what have you done? I had to read it. So I read it. When I was reading, I thought he's just going to say, it was nice meeting you, blah, 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 you know. And he just went to me, do you know the National Theatre? And I went, yeah, I know the National Theatre. And he said, we do a rehearsal there every Wednesday. Can you make it next Wednesday? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah. And I went next Wednesday and I go onto this show in the theater. I went to this show, rehearsals, and there were our own television stars there. I was like, what am I doing here? And from there, I go onto television. So for two years, when I came back, 2.5 years, I was on TV and in the theater in Nigeria. So when I came back here, so my mom and dad, obviously, they knew that. But I always thought I would study accountancy because my dad's an accountant. In Africa, you have to study, you have to be an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, because what that means is if you graduate, it guarantees you're going to get a good job. Yeah. So like, you can go up here and go, I'm going to be a postman.
Yeah. Wait, and what age were you at this point when you started this acting? Is this before you left or when you were still in?
Yeah, before I left.
Okay.
Yeah. So here you can say you want to be a postman, because even if as a postman you won't be a millionaire, you're still going to own a house, you can still own a car, and you can go on 1 or 2 holidays a year. Or you can say you want to be a bus driver in Europe. You know, you will own a house and a car. You don't grow up in Nigeria, Africa, saying I want to be a bus driver or postman, because if you do, you're not going to have anything. You will eat, and that's it. Yeah. So most of us had to study. They always made sure we studied like accountancy, lawyer, and the big subjects. So anyway, I'm here, I'm studying accountancy. And a year later, I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm enjoying it, but I need to do drama, film, video, you know. And my mom goes, all she wants is I have a degree. She's not bothered if what I studied in, so I can study whatever I want. But she doesn't want me to go to college or university. And I was like, yes, the result. Some parents are like, no, you can't. You have to be a doctor. You cannot go and study knitting. Who wants to study knitting? You know, you have to study something. So I was lucky that my mom said, yes, you know. My dad actually said something to me, when anybody can act, what do you mean? You know. But that's how I started studying it. So I started studying film and video and drama here. And I was in 1 or 2 plays here. Then a teacher of mine said, I've got a free day. I need to fill it. That by just attending, I get a pass. I don't actually need to pass the subject itself. And that was photography. And then I so enjoyed photography. It took me away from film and drama. And then I studied photography. You know,
so you found your thing.
I found my thing. And then after I found it, I dropped it.
That was not what I was expecting to come next day.
You know, I left it for a while, you know. I left it for a while going in London from between 22, 23 and 28, making money in different other ways. But at the back of my head knowing, I need to go back to this. I need to go back to this. Or whenever I meet friends that were in that field, you know, I'll feel it. And I had a camera there. And then gradually I started getting back into it. And one day, when I first came to Edinburgh, I used to stay on Chambers Street, right above the cut. And my camera and a Nikon metal box, and people used to see it. And then gradually I started picking up my camera again. And I started hanging out with people I started going to like the Fringe Festival, things like that. So the more you hang around creative people, or the kind of people, whatever it is you want to do, the more you hang around those kind of people, the more influenced you are. So whatever you want to do, I always tell people, whatever you want to do, you need to have 1 or 2 people you need to hang around that kind of, either socially or professionally, you need to hang around people that are doing what you do, because you will always be influenced by either their own drive, their own success. And you know, so the more I did that, the more I picked up my camera, the more I started doing it, the more I got into, and then the music side of things just happened from me partying and Chambers Street, My parties were legendary. Right above the court for 3 years. Monday morning after a Friday, Saturday, Sunday party, me and Jamie, Ginger Jamie, through the window fishing for randoms. Like, I used to do this party where it just happened where all the promoters, even the nights I didn't go to, all the promoters that brought their biggest DJs ended up in my night. All the, they ended up in my night. I used to come back from clubs on Chambers Street, and outside my house there'll be a queue of 50 or 60 people waiting to queue to get in my flat. Ask people, they'll tell you. Ask your auntie, yeah. And we'll get there. We're like, oh, okay, we couldn't, and sometimes we couldn't get everyone in, so they had to wait. People were queuing to get in. I was known for cooking in my parties as well.
Wait, so people were queuing not to the club, but to your flat?
Yeah, well, for my Chambers Street. This is like, when was this? 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So from doing those kind of parties, there was a guy that used to come once in a while called Claudio. And he kept saying, why don't you do events? Why don't you do events? Why don't you throw parties? I'm like, because I've always had DJ friends and promoters, even in London. I was not interested in doing it, but as far as they gave me my guest pass and I came in and I enjoyed myself and, I was good. And this guy just kept, every time he saw me, you need to do a night. You need to do a night. So eventually one day I thought, what have I got to lose? So me, him and Jamie started a night. Baby Doll, it was called, on a Sunday night at the old Punana on Frederick Street. The old Punana. And
what is that now? Is it anything now?
It's an Irish bar now, isn't it? Well, it's nothing now. There's nothing going on.
It's Kitty O'Shea's.
Something like that. It's an Irish bar on Frederick Street. It used to be called Punana. So there was a time all around the UK, the brand Punana had a club they had in nearly every city around the UK.
So it's kind of like what Attic is now, the old Cav, like Attic have.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. But they had it everywhere. They had it in a lot of towns. Yeah. So we took over that, and that lasted maybe a year and a half before two of the guys, Jamie and Claudio, fell out or had more arguments than agreements. But I learned a lot from that because that was the first time being involved in the club scene, behind the scenes. So I learned quite a lot from that. And then when that ended, I didn't do any club night for like a year because I just wanted it to come to me. And that's a little bit about me.
That's really, really interesting, the start of it. So how did that, I suppose, where does that kind of go to is like the more recent years and what you've been doing recently, and then we can kind of go into, I don't want to categorize it as racism, but that topic that we were speaking about before, the photo with your daughter with the George Floyd not campaign, but that whole, Black Lives Matter movement and kind of how.
So all those years when I was doing all that, as I said, I was still doing photography. I didn't really give it up. I wasn't pushing it to my fullest, but I was still always taking pictures. And then I started doing club events. And then, as I said, I had that 2-year break from when we did the very first club night that I was learning loads. And then 2 years later, I had an idea. I knew of these 5 different individual DJs that I liked: Simone Black, Isla, Blunt Flash, Joe Miles. And I used to go and see them either in the living room. Blunt Flash used to play in what's the is it Outback? The one in off Bolton Street, behind your auntie's.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's on the lane where
on the lane, It used to be legendary for barbecues. Outback, I think it was called, or something like that. Ego as well. And I used to go and see them in all these different places. Karina used to play with Lel in Cabval in the back room for Gareth. Gareth had a night there. So anyway, I knew all these girls individually and I enjoyed their music. And one day it just came to me, because I always wanted to go back into it. And I just thought, why don't I ask them if they all want to play together on their own night, have their own night? Because every time I went to see them, right, this is where the idea came. Every time I went to see the girls in the club, they were either on, if they were in the main room, they were on first. So apart from their friends that saw them, by 11:30, they'd finished playing. The majority of the people never saw their set, or they were always in the back room. And I felt like these girls deserve to have their own, especially based on how long they've been DJing, for they deserve to have their own nights where people are seeing them perform, So I spoke to each one of them that, hey, I would like to bring you all together and have your own night. obviously they were a bit skeptical, but at the same time they were like, yeah, let's do it. But the skepticism came in because I wasn't known as a promoter. And if you're not known, you're talking to people that have been doing it for 10, 12 years. You have to come correct, because they're serious about their craft. And I had to prove to them this wasn't a gimmick. Like, it's not just about putting 5 girls together. Hey, look at my boobs. Look at me. I'm beautiful. I had to prove that to them. So anyway, I've got these 5 girls. They all agreed to do it. And then now I'm stuck for a name. So I'm trying to get the name. What name can I call them? And there used to be a night in London I used to go to call Rotation, one of the best nights in West London. And I loved that name, but I couldn't use it because if anyone came from London and saw me call my night Rotation, so it's like, how do I? So anyway, me, my friend, and Babs and another friend of mine, Kobe, we're in the newsroom, we're talking, and we're playing with words. And one of them went, there's ladies, there's Rotation. And out of nowhere, we just went ladies on Rotation. It sounded good to us, although it didn't sound like a name that you would use for like a night. At the same time, we liked it. Shared it with the girls, they liked it. And we thought, we're going to call ourselves Ladies on Rotation. It was when we started, it was the people that changed it to LOR. We didn't even think LOR. It was when people started going LOR, LOR, LOR. And out of nowhere, this name just became easy on the tongue. A lot of people liked it. Some male DJs gave them stick though. What's all that Ladies on Rotation rubbish? It's weird how
standard shite.
Yes, yeah. The way you feel, they will come with a joke. They'll say it in a joke way, but you knew that there's a underlying message there. I don't know why, but that's how it started with Ladies on Rotation. And when we started with Ladies on Rotation, it just blew, like literally, poof. It just went. And sometimes, if you notice, if you try and replicate something you've done, you can't replicate it because it was just doing it.
It happened.
It just blew every time. Yeah, people just liked it, and it was almost as if the people needed it. And we stayed in Cab Vault, Speakeasy Lounge. We had a residency once a month. The Speakeasy Lounge. Sarah Davids was the manager there. And then from there, we started doing the main room once in a while as well. We even did a fashion show. So I said, so for me as a person, I started combining everything I like, and I used to do it. So I liked photography, I liked music. There was one day, Sarah went to me, next month, you can have the whole club to yourself. I was like, oh shit, what should I do? Okay, we'll get a guest DJ. Romain Gold from New York came to DJ with us, and then the girls, and another guest DJ. But I thought, I need more. What can I do? So I went on to Cecil Street, and there's a few shops on Cecil Street that have bags and all. I spoke to a makeup artist and a stylist, and I went, I want to have a fashion show during the club. And they're like, what? I want to have a fashion show in the club during the night. See, the Speakeasy Lounge had like a longer platform. When you walked in, it had a long platform.
This was at the back of the cafe, wasn't it?
The back. Yeah. It had like, when you walked in there, it had like a proper catwalk kind of thing. From the door to the DJ, it was just always there. So, and then so that's where we had 6 models, and they were really like out there. Like, we had I think there was one gay guy that was like, hey, he really was we were really out there. And then we had some designers on Festival Street that gave us bags and jewelries. They were expensive, with stylists, getting them all dressed up in the office upstairs. And part of my thinking was, 10, 11 o'clock, one of people are drunk or a bit, imagine them saying, what's going on here? So they come out from the speakers, walking, they walk through the stairs downstairs, then we take them to the back room. So people are dancing, right? The first person comes, and like models, they were really big hair, big clothes.
Yeah.
You look like, why is he or she dressed like that? Then goes another one and another one. There were 6 of them. People were like, what's going on? Because we didn't announce it. We didn't tell anybody we're going to have that. We thought we'd surprise people. Then the main stage, the DJs knew, obviously. All of a sudden, these models come onto the main stage. Instead of dancing, they're modeling. And they're doing all that.
Yeah.
I kind of like bought, that was my own creativity, bringing all these different things together and doing it my way or my crazy way, and it worked. People liked it. But musically, the girls delivered, and I think there was something about seeing girls, even though these girls, people knew of them, but whenever they wanted to see them, it was always a bar gig or a back room. All of a sudden, in Edinburgh, not a guest DJ, a local girls, main room, holding their own, and and it just blew and blew. And then I started doing the club photography, events photography, but that takes a lot out of you because you're either earning money from that and you stop creating, especially if you want to be known as an artist or you like to create images. So in a way, lockdown kind of helped me, because I wasn't giving the creative part of my photography that much attention because I was still taking pictures. I was still being paid. But what I was doing was just, events and things like that, which was good. I liked it. But
that becomes the same after a while, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like a lot of it is the same sort of style of work.
It's the same thing you're doing. Yeah. It's the same thing you're doing. It's just different weekends, So with lockdown, like everybody else, I'm disappointed. What's this? I'm shocked. We don't know what's happening. All the jobs. I've never lost so much gigs in my life at once before the first lockdown. I knew it was coming. The number of emails, like all our bookings, it's like, whoa, shit.
Yeah.
Like, wow. It's coming, but until it comes, and then all the food photography. I always did food photography for a lot of restaurants and bars. Everything canceled. So you're at home. And one thing I remember the first lockdown was I told myself, if I can. No, I told myself two things: train and still keep taking pictures. The training I did, but I didn't consistently do it. But the pictures, I kept doing it. We're in lockdown. So I always told myself, whatever it is, just photograph. Just keep photographing, even though it's just for you. So that put me in the right frame of mind. And then I did the rainbow thing. I don't know if you remember all the rainbows appearing in all the windows all over town.
Yeah.
NHS,
yeah. So that happened. I've gone so what happened with that was every time I went for a walk, because first lockdown I used to go for a walk at least twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon. Every time I would see it. So I started taking my pictures. So for 6 weeks, I walked all around Edinburgh. I photographed about 800 windows. Because I love this artwork, and you could tell, I was like, this can't just go. You could, some were so amazing that I felt like you could tell the ones that were made by kids, and I felt like someone should document it. So, and I edited them. So right now I've got about 600 edited images of rainbows all around Edinburgh. I went from Morningside to Leith to Stockbridge to and I'll walk for 2-3 hours. Boom, 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 boom. I've got it all there. So that already put me in the right frame of mind that was already walking. And then the Black Lives Matter thing, George Floyd thing happened. And my daughters being mixed race, I do speak to them about it, even from young. Obviously, I don't go into graphics with them because you have to consider their age. No parent wants to scare their child as much as you want to educate them.
So can I just say something just about that? Because I feel like this is quite a big thing. Because for you, this year was obviously, it's not good that, all of this has happened and you're losing, we've all lost the bookings and everything like that's going on. But I thought when George Floyd was murdered, that, obviously what happened with the photo that you took, which obviously you're going to explain and we're going to have shown on the screen somewhere, is actually developed into this snowball thing where it was just being shown everywhere, and it was it was all over the place. So I just for people listening how important that was, because it's not just a photo you took, it's a lot more meaning behind it. So I thought I'd just put that out first just so people know a bit context.
And that's how that, when I look back at it, that's why I was telling the stories about the rainbow and all that I feel like if I wasn't, because I told myself after the first 2-3 weeks of disappointment of lockdown and losing work, I told myself, if there's one thing you've got control of, it's your camera, and you can still take pictures. So I feel like me doing all that, I did a few shots with my children as well, fashion shoots with them, lighting in the house. I feel like that kept my mind frame up in the right place, So when the George Floyd thing happened, I didn't have any intentions of doing anything. It happened. I spoke to my older daughter about it briefly in the kitchen. And then the following day, I was on my phone. I wanted to post something about it. And I'm searching for an image. I didn't want to use his own image, because I felt like his image was everywhere. Everywhere his image was there. And I was thinking, if you're his friend, family, you've seen enough of his image. So I went onto Google, searching for images that I thought would go with the story I wanted to post. I couldn't get anything. And I thought, let me check my laptop and see if there's any images I can use. But straight away, I knew, no, there's no image on here that I can use that will fit. And then I just told myself, you call yourself an artist. Why don't you create something? And within that same instance, I thought, let me go and ask my daughter. She was in her room if she would want to create something with me. So I went into her room and I went, remember the story I told you yesterday? She went, what story? I went, remember what happened in America, George Floyd? And she went, yeah, I remember. And I said, do you want to create something with me? And she went, okay. Now you need to understand that when you ask a 12-year-old that, sometimes they can go, yeah, and sometimes they can go, no. For some reason, she was in the mood of going, yeah. And I went, okay, let's do it. And I hadn't even thought about what I was doing. But when she got off her bed, she went, oh, give me 5 minutes, let me change. And I went, no. Don't change. She had the singlet you see in the picture is what she had on, and her hair was rough. She wanted to comb it. I'm like, no, don't change. I hadn't even thought about it, but for whatever reason, I knew the way she was how I wanted her to be, you know. And she went, but Dad, I know you're going to post it on Instagram. You can't do this. Like, you literally cannot do this to me. You know, she really said it. And I was like, I know. Okay, I'm not even going to lie. Yes, I'm probably going to post it, but just trust me on this one. Because this is the first time I've told her. Most times I'll let her go and, you know, do whatever she wants.
Do her thing, yeah.
But this time, for some reason, I'm like, no. And then as we're going to the kitchen, I knew already, in my head, straight away, I was like, don't overthink it. The first thing that comes to mind, do it. I'm sure if you make music or if you're a DJ, sometimes as a photographer, I have a great idea. It's perfect. And then I overthink it and I start adding. So this time I told myself, no, this is not a fashion show. This is whatever first comes to your head, do it. So from her bedroom, we went straight to the kitchen. I grabbed my camera, my flash gun, and my light umbrella. And as I entered the kitchen, we've got a fridge. So you see us standing, the background is our fridge. Our fridge is a black one. Straight away, I don't know where, I just went, that's where you're going to stand. And she stood there. And then I went, and we've got lights coming. When you look at the picture from her left-hand side, there's natural light coming. And then I've got my flash standing opposite her, facing the wall. So the light is bouncing off the wall onto her. And then I went, now, we need to think about how we show I can't breathe is the bit. Now, the reason I used the word I can't breathe was what it resonated with me. And the reason it resonated with me is that there's been about 4 or 5 incidents in America mainly where the people that have died have said the same thing. They've all said, I can't breathe. That word, so when I heard George Floyd say it, it almost felt like it wasn't the first time I'd heard a video, I'm watching a clip from America, police holding somebody saying, I can't breathe. And it resonates because you're thinking, you must, any normal human being, if someone is saying I can't breathe, you take a second to check. Yeah. Eric Gardner did the same thing. You know, Eric Gardner, the guy in New York that was selling cigarettes, the big fat guy, and got strangled by 50 in New York, and none of them till today have been charged. He died on the pavement there, and they choked him, and that there were like 15 of them on him. And his last words is he was selling cigarettes outside. He's known to sell cigarettes. You know those people that sell £1 this, £1 that. That's what he's. 15 of them jump on him, and if you watch the video till today, he's shouting, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe," and people are even telling the people. So that word, "I can't breathe," is why I chose. Because someone asked me, why did you use the phrase "I can't breathe"? Maybe you could have said no to racism or this, but it's because when I watched George Floyd, that bit "I can't breathe" reminded me of 4 others. Yeah. You know, so that's why. So that's why you see my daughter, that "I can't breathe." That's what it's all about. That for me, as much as it's to do with racism, it's to do with the human. As a human, any human. If I'm fighting you today and I'm winning, yeah, and my adrenaline is going, yeah. The minute you say I can't breathe, you know, I'll be like, oh.
You let go. It's like a free, eh?
And I was gonna ask a question just about this, because I know we're talking about the photos that you took of your daughter, but I just wanted to ask, and I know this has happened for your entire life, but just particularly about the George Floyd, how did that make you feel? And I'm not just talking about that because I know, like I say, it's happened more than once, you know, too many times, but just obviously that experience, like, obviously,
like everybody else, you're angry, you're everything. That not again, what's going on? And I know a lot of people in the UK didn't understand why a lot of black people reacted to it, and even you had your allies that reacted to it, because a lot of people. And just because they didn't understand doesn't necessarily make them racist, but it just makes them ignorant. You know, a lot of them didn't understand why we have to react to it. But you have to understand, like in nearly every aspect of life, when something happens to America, it affects the whole of the world, you know. Look at music, look at Hollywood. You know, it affects the whole of the world. There's a, you know, snowball effect. So when even things like that happen, and you know it's based on color, you feel it as well. You might not be in that country, but you can. I go to America. I got friends there. You feel it as well. So the George Floyd thing, like I didn't show my daughter the video because I didn't want her to see the video, but I just told her the story. And then I thought, how can I? So yeah, so I wanted to make that post. Got her into the kitchen, got my camera, and then we started thinking of different ways to show in the picture. Remember, we're in lockdown now. We don't have, and we can't say, let's go and shoot it here, let's go and shoot it there. We now have to use what we've got to get what we need. So she's standing there. I did the first one, and then me and her were talking about how to show that you can't breathe with your hands, and we did all the different ones, and she did that. So we did one rehearsal. We did it. Remember, I said I didn't want to overthink it. I felt like go with your first one. So when we did the first rehearsal, I went, that's it. So all I had to remember is my light setting, my camera setting. I got that right. And then we're only shooting this once. And I even told myself, because also this was this is the first time I've done this kind of shoot with my daughter where it's a serious shoot. So I had a feeling that her attention span might not be as long as like when we do like fashion shoots and things like that. You know, so I knew already that, look, you've probably got 40 minutes before she before she loses interest, even though she will still be there. Because she came, when she did all that, in her eyes, I could see it in there. It's like, wow, she was giving me everything. So we show you in the kitchen. It all took maybe an hour, 10 minutes. And then straight away into the living room, started editing it. Straight before I started editing, I already knew this is going to be dark. It needs to be dark, it needs to convey fear, it needs to convey loneliness. So I already knew the type of editing I was going to do. So I started with black and white, and then there's two of them that's got red on the eyes. Red there. While I was editing it, the thought just came to my eyes that if you're in a position where you can't breathe, someone is strangling you, what do you see? What don't you see? You try to imagine it. I've never been there. So red came to mind. So that's why I put red across his eyes. There were things he was saying like, mama, all those kind of things. Like the George Floyd one was even more. Whoa. There were things he was saying that you knew for a grown man to be saying this. Because when you're scared, you go back to your mom, isn't it? Your parents, So anyway, I'm editing it. Even in my editing process, I was like, don't overdo it. But I just kept moving my hands, everything in my head and my hands. I'm editing it. It was just coming to me. And I edited them, and I looked at it, and I thought, I think it took maybe 2 hours. I thought, job done. And I looked at it, and I called my daughter, and she looked at it, and we're like, whoa. I liked it. Now, the reason I spoke to her about this because and the reason I was happy I did that with her was because a lot of times I'm only talking about it. And sometimes you become an old record, because you want to educate the children, but you need to find different ways to. I tell people, you don't need to go and read a big book about how do you do this and how the simplest thing, So anyway, I posted up and I'm thinking, okay, that's it. I knew some people would like it. I'm not gonna lie, you have your own followers, but I thought that's where that's where I thought it would be. I'll get likes, I'll get 1 or 2 DMs or 1 or 2 people. So I posted and then put it on my Instagram and it's blowing up to like 50, 60, 70. I call that blowing up. Some people's blowing up is 2,000 likes. Mine is 60 likes. So, and then a charity called me and said, can we reshare your picture? An Edinburgh charity, 2 Edinburgh charities. They liked it. And I went, sure, you can reshare it. And that was it, done. 2 weeks later, I get a call from a friend of mine that works freelance, used to work with Edinburgh International Festival. She had seen the main picture and she was working with Edinburgh Festival, and we've put some money together to do with BLM, and we want to get artists to showcase their work to do with, as at that time BLM was, and I went, yeah, sure. No, for me that was a great call to receive. And I went, so do you want all 5 of them? And she went, all 5 of them? I've only seen 1. So she's talking about the main one. And when I took 5, and she went, no, just the main one. I went, oh, okay, cool. So we finished talking. And then when I'm about to send it to her, I thought, nah, I made 5, you're getting 5. I sent all 5 to them. I'm like, nah, it comes in a series of 5, you're getting all 5. And then they called me back straight away. Oh, wow, we didn't know. And then you know, we love it. We want this. We want that. We're going to pay you. We're going to this. And they're telling me, we're going to put your pictures outside Edinburgh Castle. We're going to enlarge it. I was like, whoa, whoa. I wasn't expecting, you know. And even when they were telling me they're going to get funding to pay me, I was like, no, no, it's okay. That the fact that they even want to put my pictures outside the castle was, I'm so
huge. Yeah.
Dude, in this lockdown that I thought nothing, you know, you know, like out of nowhere. And then, yeah, and it started from there. So within 2 weeks, I've got my image right outside Edinburgh Castle, like next door to the entrance, right there.
Yeah.
And they even did two of each. I was like, whoa. And then before I know it, BBC Scotland radio is in touch. They want to talk to me about it, and they want to ask questions. I'm like, and then from that, the social media, then all those 60 likes became 120, 200, and then just boof, boof, and before I knew it, it became even larger than what I expected. And one of the best things I like was when people went to see it, people that I didn't know, and they'll send me a message. Like there was a lady, Scottish lady, she went with her daughter and her nephew. And she went, you know, I've always wanted to speak to them about it, but I never knew how to have this conversation. But when I just took my children in, and they're like, Mommy, why is she covering her nose? And that, and children can respond to children because you look alike, children to children, you know. So this lady told me that I found it easier speaking about it because I was talking about a child and this and those kind of feedbacks. I kept all of my feedbacks. I screenshot them. They were so nice. People, you know, you had people that gave you feedbacks, great work and that, and you appreciate it. But when you got the ones that took their niece or nephew or their children to go and look at it, and then they're telling you about how it went, I never expected that, you know. And then I showed my daughter, and then before we knew it, you know, BBC Radio, BBC World News. I got that twice in 1 year. Nice. And then from nowhere, the National Portrait Gallery. You know, I saw someone told me about, no, I saw it. And I just thought, and I was going to send them the rainbow pictures that I took because they asked for some people to put in submissions. So I was going to send them the rainbow one because, you know, the rainbow one was about the NHS and kids. Yeah. What they said is that whatever picture you send, you have to have someone in it. I initially didn't want to send them the one of my daughter because I thought it was too, that's my finger. I was like, maybe it's a bit too deep. And that's what I thought, that they won't, you know, because what they wanted, what they said was, can you send in submissions for what your lockdown has been like? You know, so I thought maybe that was too, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it was too deep for them. I don't know why. So I wanted to send the rainbow one, but there was no one in the rainbow. So I thought, how well, I'll just send that one like that. And then I forgot about it. And they'd been trying to get in touch with me. Apparently there was something wrong with their emails. When they sent their emails out, people were not receiving it, but it was going somewhere else. So luckily for me, they called me and said, oh, we're trying to get hold of you. Out of, was it like, I can't remember, 40,000 or 50,000 images. The Duchess of Cambridge, and there were 8 of them on the panel. They showed the video. Out of 40,000, they had to choose 100 pictures. And mine was like, that is just like...
Yeah, it's madness.
Madness. Yeah, just even doing numbers. Forget the people doing it. If you're chosen out of 40,000 or 100, you know, you're one of the hundreds. You're like, what? And the interaction was proper. They sent videos when they were doing it. Like all of a sudden, I'm getting emails from the Duchess of Cambridge. I'm getting emails from National Portrait Gallery. They're talking about it, and then from there, you have the magazines coming in saying we like your work. We want to. Then I had an exhibition with the black visual artists, black artists visuals in London. Then exhibitions, this and yeah, it just blew up. But I'm happy more that the message, you know, because yeah, the message in it, people got different messages from it, and that was good. So,
I think the work you've done has been really amazing, and I'm proud of you. You know, I feel like it's actually.
We made Forbes magazine.
Yeah, I know. Forbes.
Like, I always thought you needed to have 100 million in your account to be in Forbes.
So you had Forbes, Kate Middleton.
Forbes, we had Biden, we had like literally, Literally, nearly all the magazines and the big national papers, from your Daily Mail, all of Times, Guardian, Forbes. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And that all came from just like a little project you done with your daughter in the kitchen.
Yeah. Something that's spontaneous in the kitchen as well. And some people ask me that, do you think if it wasn't for lockdown, would you have done it? And I think I would have still had that thought process. I would have still decided to do that shoot. But what I definitely wouldn't have done is I would have done it in my kitchen. Because if we were not in lockdown, I'll be like, yeah, I need a studio. I need this, I need that.
It would have taken away from.
It will have taken away. I will have added to it. I would have been thinking big lights. I would have been thinking, oh, what can you wear? Because now you've got access to everything.
Yeah.
And I would have still done it, but I wouldn't have produced that. That is certain. It will have taken away from it. Because you straight away your brain is like, oh yeah, let's do this, let's do that. You start adding. So I'm happy in a way. It kind of like lockdown kind of told me, made me go back to what the reason I studied photography or arts. Made you know that, oh yeah, sometimes it's not the big gadgets. It's the idea.
It's a little simple things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea is the powerful part. It's not the camera you've got type thing.
Yeah, it's not the as much as all that is good to have all the fancy things, it's not. Well, based on what happened to me last year, anyway, and then you start getting all these different. The one I like was obviously when something like that happens, you get new people following you. That's it's a nice feeling. We're all humans. But you start getting all this this theater company following you from Manchester, these people in your own field following you, and all this these photographers from this magazine, and I was like, whoa, okay. Even the staff and all that are following me. Like on my Instagram, I'm like, okay. All right, now I'm here. I've kicked it all down. Okay, here you are. All right. It's a good feel. I got to work with the Guardian newspaper as well. I took Nathan with me for that one when we shot Jackie Kane, the national poet and novelist. That was good to receive from. And guess how the Guardian, like with any bookings I get after I've spoken to the client or whatever, I always ask how they found me, so that I know which of my, was working. And the Guardian, guess how they found me? The editor in the Guardian found me. So every so often we're looking for new photographers or new creatives, and I just search hashtags. And I went, what?
Wow.
Literally, I just searched hashtags, and I was looking for someone in Edinburgh, and I searched hashtag. She must have put maybe photographer or Edinburgh or whatever. And she went, you were one of the people that came up, and I liked your work. And then I saw that because I thought she was going to probably say she saw the National Portrait Walk or something. Yeah. And she went, no, I always do hashtags every so. So hashtags are important, guys.
There's a life lesson, everyone. Yeah, hashtags.
That's how the Guardian found me. Hashtags, and then they liked my work. So you still have to have the work, but that's how they found me. I asked that. I couldn't believe that. That wasn't the response I was waiting for. I was like, okay, I like that.
Yeah, cool.
So loads happens in that time.
Yeah, it's been a really strange year, but I suppose I put in negative and positive together. Must be a kind of mixed emotions, the whole thing, because it's such a good project, but the reasoning behind it's obviously because of a negative situation. So kind of leads us on to the next point. We were obviously talking about some of the stories and some of the things you've experienced in your life, racist events, and I think that we could definitely educate some people on the deeper meaning behind things, and just some of the things you were talking about that kind of shocked me. I was like, wow, so I think, I don't know what the best way to just explaining some of the stories.
Maybe I'll start off with, if there's any young person, and I'll start off with advice. In terms of racism, if you're between a certain age, especially boys react at a certain. I'm not saying girls don't get angry or emotional, but boys use anger to deal with it, and you find yourself. If you look at most young boys in the UK, all of a sudden when they get to the age of 17 or 18, they're angry and they're reacting because all of a sudden they're understanding everything that's happened. And one thing we do is to react physically. And I'll just tell young people that if they can, I must say it's not easy. It's so hard. If they can, don't react in every situation. I know people when I was younger that reacted. You punch a guy once, he fell down. Something bad happened to him. But you can't say, what I'm just going to say is that it gets better. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop, but it gets better. What do I mean by it gets better? It gets better because you find a way to deal with it within yourself. And when I say it gets better, you eventually will get peace with it. And you'll be able to go through life with that there, but you'll still live a good life, I guess. If you can, if you're young and you're going through racism, try and talk to other people that are older than you, that have gone through it, so they can guide you through what you're going through at that age. Because for some reason, I don't know if it's an age thing, it gets better. It doesn't. When I was younger, I faced it more. It was a bit more physical. It was a bit more upfront. When you're younger, people will just come up to you, hey, you. For some reason, as I was growing older, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but the ones that happened, especially in the UK, was different. I didn't get the upfront physical ones. You start getting the one where they go, it's just being cheeky. Like someone would just, you'll be in a bar and someone would just drop it. It wouldn't be physical. That one weakens you, because sometimes you find it easier to react to the guy that just came, oh, you, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That one is a bit even easier, because at least you can go, what? Who are you talking to? With the British type of racism is different. It's a bit more like sly. It's just little, and what I'm trying to say is that just try not to, talk to people that have gone through it, that are older than you, so that they can explain what you're going through, and you find that you're not the only one. Because I definitely know that we used to fight a lot when we were younger. That was the way we reacted to it. Then we got to a certain age, we knew we can't keep fighting every day. We started finding a different way. I've weakened racist people by not even saying anything. A lot of them are just looking for a reaction from you. Now, that doesn't mean that just because they're looking for a reaction from you, you have no right not to react. If you want to, fine. But you start finding out the different types. You start finding out that some people are not actually even racist, dare I say that, even though their actions might be, but they're just ignorant. You start finding out that some are hardcore racist people. You'll be able to identify them somehow. You will be able to find out the one that he intentionally left his house today to look for trouble. You can, so like I remember me and my friends now will be out having a good time, 7 o'clock, and some guy, it could just be like a tramp, whatever, will just come, say the wrong thing. And then we're now fighting, arguing. Before you know it, police come. Okay, even though they don't arrest you, whatever, you've just let this bomb spoil your night. So we had to start figuring out the different types of people and how to react. It's crazy, but you start finding out that there's different ways to deal with it. Unfortunately, you have to if you want peace. If not, you're going to end up being angry. You're going to end up always fighting. And I know if you're younger, because when I know some younger people, and when I'm telling them, oh, this thing happened to me, and they go, so what did you do, uncle? I'm like, I just walked away. You walked away? How could you walk away, man? Nah, man, I'll have licked him. Nah, man. I can understand why they feel like that. That age, that's what because it's to do with, especially if you're a guy, you're like, your ego, or you're like, you feel like I can fight.
Yeah.
So I can understand why you think like that. But the funny thing is that if you keep fighting and keep going down that route, it's a dangerous path to go through. You're letting them win, even though they might not be aware of it. So you have to find. So the only thing I say is find different ways to talk about it, and talk to people that are a bit older than you that have gone through it. If it's not your mom or your dad, it'll be an uncle or somebody. If it's me, come and talk to me. I'll give you a little incident. I was in the Cowgate one day, on the phone to Babs. I was coming from a function. I was suited and booted about 8, 9 o'clock, right at the end of right at the end of Cab 4, the building where the new hotel is. House of Gods wasn't open then, but that space there, that space with the steps, I'm standing there. There were lots of drunks on the floor. And the Cowgate is full of drunks. You've got your Hindu, your stag. If you're a police,
they're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. They're literally just there. I'm standing there. I'm on my phone. This cop and the 2 coppers, man and woman, come up to me, and I'm on the phone to them. I said, excuse me. I went, yes. And they went, can we speak to you? I went, yeah, sure. What's wrong? And they went, can you put your phone down? Can you hang your call? I went, no, I can't hang my call. What's the problem? And they went, we'd just like to ask you a few questions. I went, yeah, sure, go for it. What's your name? And I went, my name? Why? And they looked at me. I went, why are you asking me my name? Like, why? I just wanted to know why you're asking me my name. And they went, no, we just want to know your name. And I went, look, give me one of the normal bullshits, none of the stories. I wasn't even swearing. I went, look, okay, I'll give you my name. So I gave them my first name, Jamal. And then they went, yeah, we want your full name and your date of birth. And I went again, why? Like, why do you want my full name? For what reason? And I went, give me one of the reasons you always give. I fit the description or, whatever. And they just looked at me and they went, we just need your name and blah, blah. I went, okay, you know what? First of all, I'm not putting this phone down. And secondly, I've given you my first name. If you want my full name, you need to give me a better reason why. And if you can't give me a better reason, that's okay. If that means you have to arrest me, arrest me. I don't mind. And I put my hands up. But I'm telling you now, I'm not giving you my full name. But if by me not giving you my full name, if I've broken any law and you say you have to arrest me, I don't mind. You can arrest me. When we get to the station, me and your sergeant can sort it out. And then the woman went to me, the guy and the woman, they were confused. They didn't know what to do. Literally didn't know what to do, right? Now, what I'm trying to say here is that if they were out to arrest someone or really needed to make an arrest and go back to the station, there were lots of drunk people around me breaking the rules. There were, I was putting on my phone right there talking, and of all these people that were falling on the floor, drinking and all that, I'm the guy you came to arrest. Or to come and question. Like there was, if they really needed an arrest, there were so many people on the, So they're confused because the reason I'm saying they're confused the way I reacted, I responded back. I knew what this was and where it was going. The younger me would have said it out. The younger me would have been like, yo, what the fuck? Because that's how, the younger, that's how you deal with these kind of situations, if you think that's what the situation is. My point being, that when you react like that and you now give them a chance to say, oh, you're what's the one they always tell you, you've been breach of peace, or you're shouting, you're swearing and things like that, and you give them an opportunity to arrest you. But when you actually, if you know the law and you speak to them and you let them know and you don't play their games, they can't, they lost themselves. So what I'm trying to say that when you're younger, there are things that if you know your rights and you know how to talk, you want certain situations with the law. I mean, anyway, especially in the UK, you can. I wish I knew those things when I was younger, but as I'm growing older, I'm finding different ways to deal with it where you can turn it around, to the people. I've had people say racist things to me. Sometimes I feel like reacting because it's the right time. And sometimes I don't because it's the wrong time. Even though you feel bad that you didn't react, it's good you didn't react, I've been in bars, somebody will say the wrong thing to me, I'm shouting on them, and then bouncers that I know be like, Jamal, why didn't you just come and tell me? I'll have sorted it out. But that's easier said than done because it's emotion. Yeah. But it actually, if you could do it, it works, it helps. But it's just that this thing, it almost feels like everything is on you.
Yeah, I think it's like, I obviously don't know what it's like to be a black person, but it sounds like you have to, or maybe not you, but like collectively, and I'm making a general statement here, it's like you almost live in fear every day. Like that's just the standard, that's the starting point. Before anybody's even been racist, before anything's even happened, it's just fear. And white people don't understand that because they don't need to live or go through that. But that's the thing that, like, I feel like people will probably really struggle to relate to. It's like, it's just as a level of fear there that you're just, and there's some things that you're mentioning here that aren't right, but it's just normal to you.
It's just normal.
And it's just not right that has to be like that. It's crazy.
It is. I mean, like, there's so many of this, there's like in any of these kind of situations, you just have to find a different way. It's almost, okay, look at my children. They're mixed race. Their mom is Scottish, white. And so imagine, I've always said, imagine being somebody that always wanted to educate your children about all the kind of sins in the world, sexism, racism, all those kind of things, the wrongs in the world, So imagine trying to, from when they're young till now, I speak to them about it, but I have to be aware that I don't come across as if I'm saying, even if their mom wasn't white, I don't even want to come across as, because my mom and dad didn't teach. I remember growing up in London, and the first time I went through racism, and at the age of 17, 18, and I didn't understand it. And then I spoke to my cousins and they spoke to me about it. It took me 2 years to understand it, right? And then after 2 years of understanding it, and I was going through it, then I was like, wait a minute. I was angry with my mom and dad, right? Like, why didn't they pre-warn me? Why didn't mom and dad? Every time when I was growing up in London, in Nigeria, Lagos, they never once did my mom and dad speak about racism to me. And they grew up here in the 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, what they will have gone through then will be nothing compared to what I'll have gone through in the 90s. But my mom and dad stopped living here in the 80s. They stay living in Nigeria. So whenever your mom calls you, the last thing you want to tell her is that you went through this racism or that, because you're bringing her down. You've only got 5-10 minutes to talk. So I always waited until the next time I will see her. So, but in my head, I was like, wait a minute. First of all, me being me, if my mom and dad had taught me about racism when I was younger, the first day I arrived back here when I was 17, 18 at the airport, I would have come with an attitude. Like the first white guy that asked me a question, hey, excuse me, what's the time? I just be like, what the fuck? What do you do? That's just my character, young.
Yeah.
But also, I'm also thinking, it took me a while to understand why they didn't really talk about it then, because maybe, maybe that was their own decision. But I decided to take a different route and said, I will teach my children about it because they're growing up here. But even though when I'm teaching them, I have to be aware of, I don't want them to hate. So even though I want to teach them about it, I don't want to teach them so that they start. I don't want to put my troubles on them.
Mm-hmm.
I only want to give them information, but I don't want them to be angry about. So I don't tell them too many into graphics what's happening. But you do have to educate them. But you can educate. Kids are clever. They're not stupid. So even if your kids, it's how you educate them that matters, and you do need to educate them, because if you can educate the children, it will make it easier. A lot of the questions they don't understand, or if someone comes up to them and says something they can, even when I say kids, I don't just mean black kids. If you're white and the same way if you teach your kid, don't cross the road until the green man shows up, or the same way you teach your kid, when someone gives you something, you say thank you. Teach them. Kids are clever. And a lot of the things is education. You remember earlier when I was saying that some people are outright racist, but some people are not racist, but they're just ignorant of the distance. The reason they're ignorant is because they were not taught about it. If they were taught about it, there will be some things that they won't say, they won't do. Even though some things are basics, you shouldn't be taught. No one should tell you can't go into a club, into a bar and see a group of girls you don't know. You're not going to go, yo, what's up, bitches? I mean, you could if you want to, but they don't have to respond to you.
You probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So, but what my point being that if they taught education is key, and if they taught a lot of people like their history, like the British history, even in Britain, if they taught them, they teach history, but they don't teach history about the British Empire outside the UK. And if they taught all these histories to people from young, not in university level, you don't need to go and get a degree, just in school, people will have a better understanding of why you have people living from different parts of the world here and there. You will always still have your little minority hardcore racist people, but in general, people will understand it better. So for me, with my children, I teach them about it. But remember, my children are mixed race. So how I don't want to come as if I'm saying I have to. The way I teach them matters, because I'm teaching them about their heritage as well, part of it. I think education is key, definitely key from a young age. The same way but when I say from a young age, you don't scare a 3-4 year old, but kids are clever. Just teach them, tell them, and it will make it easier for people. Take for example Africa now, with all the things that our history is. When they see white people in Africa, they still treat them nice. And that's because they've not, or like if you go to certain parts of the world, like even I'll give you an example, like going to Holland. And if you're in Holland around 3-4 in the morning, you hear noise, people that are drunk shouting about 3. We all knew that those people are from Britain. The English, that's the British. Everybody knows, right? The British people, when they drink, they have to jump on the table and get drunk. But guess what? They still treat you well. They won't treat you bad because of that, right? What we're saying is that we're not all going to love each other or like each other, but hating people just based on that, yeah, it's bad. It's,
And what about the 2 points that I thought were interesting you mentioned earlier on about those stories that happened within like 2 weeks of each other, the 3 events, but also, like, I'll let you explain that, but also the thing you were saying about how you would call other, like whoever it is, Babs or whatever, or who's obviously, for people that don't know, is a friend of Jamal's, being like, oh, so has this happened to you recently, or it's been like a year and nothing's happened. Like I couldn't believe when you said that. You know?
Yeah, we do that. So you get to, as I told you, up to the age of 21 or 22. We started telling ourselves we can't fight every day. This is going to happen. This looks like it's always going to happen. It doesn't matter where you are. So you start thinking of different ways to deal with it. One way we deal with it is if we're going, as I told you earlier on, if you're going to a country. So say there's 7 or 8 of us, mixed, white and black and all that. And all of us are like, I hope they've got good club, good bars, good this. Any black people in that group, another thing we're doing is we're calling some of our friends that have any, like say for example, we were saying Russia, for example, none of us had been there. We're definitely calling 1 or 2 of our black friends to ask them, hey, do they like us in Russia? Do they like us in that country? Like you actually do it. Or another thing is that you notice when racism has not happened for you in a while. I don't know if that's a good, that's a good thing, but the fact that you notice, like as I said to you earlier on, the incident that happened to me in Mash House. And then 3 incidents happened around the same time. It was a 2-week period. And before then, for like at least a year and a half or 2, like literally nothing. Like at least vocally anyway, nothing, And you notice that you tell your friends and you talk about it. Wow, maybe things are changing. It's a good thing that, we don't want it to happen. But, when you think about the fact that you actually realize it doesn't happen, what's that? Is that a good thing or not? I don't know. Standing outside the Mash House with my friends, talking. There was this Scottish comedian from nowhere that we didn't know that just came to join us. Said, can you, just stay talking. And it was so funny. He was a poet and a comedian, and this guy was. We were in a when you're out and you went out to club. And then other good things happen, and you're like, "Yay!" You're happy.
Yeah.
He brought the good vibes. Yes, it wasn't just the drinks, the music. We're like, "Yeah, this is why you go out sometimes." And then this guy from nowhere just, who was quite rude, wanted to come and talk to me. The 4 of us, and he kind of like pushed. And I noticed his rudeness, but I just thought, what, this guy, because sometimes some people know of me, they know me because I do photography in the clubs. So I thought he probably just wants to say hi. And you say bye, and maybe he's drunk, let him go. As much as I wanted to tell him off that, hey, behave yourself. So when he started speaking, I had to call him down, calm down. And he's telling me, reggae music, I love reggae music. It's the best music in the world. And he's really, talking about it and how he loves everything about it. He even said something to me. He said, me, I'm a Rastafarian, I don't look like Rastafarian, but inside, I'm a Rastafarian. Ja, I was like, yes, thank you. And out of nowhere, in the same line, in the same sentence, by this time, my friends had got it because I told them, don't worry, I'll catch you inside. And it just goes, but me, I don't like black people. And honestly, I was so shocked.
Fuck me.
I was like, say that again. Because now like if you told me I don't like Nigerians, or I don't like Gambians, or I don't like people, if you call the country, I can accept that, because that can be you've had bad experience in that country, so it's almost like saying, if you say I'm not keen on the French or German, I think you've got a right to say that oh, I didn't like Germany when I went to Germany. I think you've got a right to say that. That doesn't make you a bad person. But when you use one word that can combine all of us the same, so when you say black people, that means you're not just saying Africans, you're saying Africans, Black American, you're putting us all. I couldn't believe it. And at that same minute when he said it, 2 things ran through my mind at the same time. One was relax. And the second one was like, not this guy, you need to. And it was just that 1 minute there that I just went, no, don't react. Because I couldn't tell at that point if this guy actually meant what he was saying. Like I said, was he truly a racist, or was he just out to come and look for trouble? Because those are the margins you're playing with. Some people are just out there to just come and, but I just went, oh, and I looked at the guy, he could see it in my eyes, and I just walked off, and he walked away. And I was going to tell the bouncer standing, it's got a few people. I'm looking at the bouncer, and then the thing with this racism, when people say, why don't you tell? It's like, it makes you just feel somehow, I'm like, what am I going to tell this guy? How am I'm standing out here, this guy is walking, he's got work to do. I'm like, and then the rage in me, and you see, when you're angry and you go and meet a bouncer, if you're all angry and all that, you've lost. You look like the person that created, because Beyonce is just thinking, you look like a troublemaker, Yeah, because you remember at this point, you're like, ah. So I walked back into the club and I told my friends, and they were shocked. And both of them are actually mixed race, right? And the comedian was there. So the Scottish guy, he apparently had come in. And the reason I told them was because I went, look, I don't want to go into it because it's going to mess my night up. But it's just in case tomorrow, remind me what I was saying. And they went, okay. So I went back to the second room, and maybe 20 minutes later, this guy, I saw him. And at that point, I knew I had to leave the club and I had to go home. I think the clubs were finishing at 5 then. I knew, this was just 2 weeks ago, 2019. I knew I had to leave the club because I knew only two things are going to happen here. You either leave the club or you're going to fight this guy. Because when I saw him, he saw me and he stopped. He stopped and he didn't want to walk towards me. And I just knew I need to leave. I walked home that day. I left the club. I knew I did the right thing, but yeah, I'm angry. Like proper angry that why didn't you tell this guy off? But I know that the minute, if I reacted, when I say react, even if I went, what did you say? Even if I just use my words alone will dependent on what he responds with. Because he was like, no, my friend, let me explain. Because when I asked him, and he goes, I explained. Like, how, what are you going to explain to me? So I knew that I had to leave. But I was angry that I didn't fight this guy. Got home. I thought, okay, when I wake up in the morning, I'll be all right. Woke up in the morning, I was still angry. Why am I angry? Because I didn't react to this guy, because I didn't fight, even though I knew I did the right thing. I called my two friends from the previous night. They were talking to me. They were, you did the right thing. Then Babs, then Craig saw me. Everyone said you did the right thing. I knew I did the right thing. But yeah, I wasn't happy. I was raging. Like, I was even angry with myself for not reacting. And that incident happened. That was a part of an incident that happened in the space of 2 weeks. Another day I went to see Dina DJing, Cowgate, walk up from the Cowgate to Gautrey Street to Chambers Street to meet my friend. He had parked at the other end. Group of 4 young people. They would be between 18, 19, 20. 2 girls, 2 guys. Was just one of them. She just spotted me from nowhere. Before then, you could hear the voice loud. I could hear the voices coming loud. But the minute she spotted me, she just, what's on my name? What's on my this? What's up? Just the end was just flowing. And her friends kept going, you can't say that. Her friends actually, and the more they told her she can't say it, the more she did it. They were walking towards me and I was walking towards them. I was just walking, just looking. I didn't even know what. I just felt like, you know what? I'm not even going to do anything here. I'm just going to let this be. And until they walk by me, and just, doesn't, and that, but you see, when these things happen, sometimes you're not expecting. I don't even know. They're both bad. It doesn't matter if you're expecting it or not. But it almost seems like there are times you're in certain places and you go, oh, okay, I'll be all right here. I don't know why you feel like that or you say that. Why? Maybe you're judging people based on their status. And then it happens and you're angry. Like when we're in Hanover 99 or in certain bars, if you're in London, if you're in certain places in London, you're in the right place because of your location. If you're in a bar in Hackney, in Brixton, even in parts of West London, it almost feels like if you're in your own territory.
Yeah.
Either because of the music that is being played, it's either black music or it's black owned or it's a black area. But when you go to certain parts, so if you go to like certain parts of the West End, you're not in your own territory and the likelihood of this happening can happen, right? So like imagine, I'll give you an example. Imagine I'm in London. If I was going to the Dorchester, I'm confident to go anywhere. I used to go to places that were not traditionally black music or black owned or whatever. I didn't care as far as I could handle it. And I will still walk in and I will talk and I will laugh. Well, I'll give it, when you see some black people in certain places and they're just like that, staring and just talking to themselves, and some people go, why do they look so angry? What's wrong with them? When I see some people, I mean white people. It's not because they're angry, it's because that's their barrier. They're trying to cut out the silly people to come in and talk to them. So like there are times I've been in 99 and you've seen me in 99. I'm more like that's even Babs. I'm like, I'm more like that. I have to be like that. That's me. But there's some brothers that will come to 99 and they just stand. They're having a great time. But when you look at their face, you might think they're nuts because you think, wow, they look serious, they look angry. It's not because
I've noticed this. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've always wondered. You've just explained it like perfectly. Yeah. I've always wondered this.
They are that same brother that you see, or group of them that are like that, right? they are, and then you see me at the other end, and I'm like, they're doing what I'm doing. They're only doing it inside.
Yeah.
Outside. And the only reason is because they're not yet familiar with either that bar or that area, and they like the music or they like something about that bar. But what they're doing is that they know that that time when I start smiling now, some guy is just going to come and say the wrong thing to me. And then I'm going to go, yo, what did you do? And you know, when you're the one shouting, you're the one that's done wrong. Because when things like this happen, you know, you're going to flip. Like, what? Anybody else that comes that sees you shouting will think, he looks angry. You know, because the person that said wrong will be quiet. So you see those people you see that are like that. They are not, I know some people think, why would you come out looking all, you know, that's what they think. No, it's because they're not in their own usual surroundings. So they've put that barrier up. So the only person that will go and meet them is a person that really has something nice to say. That's why you will notice somebody will be like, you know, there'll be one or two cheeky girls who will say, I'm going to speak to them. They'll go, hi, how you? And when they realize, oh, nice person, you will see they'll just be like, hello, how you doing? There's just a barrier to stop the stupid people from coming to them.
Yeah.
Which is a shame again.
Yeah.
But as I said, age, as you grow, you start looking for different ways to deal with it. That's one of the ways to deal with it. Like that guy that night, that when I said when me and my friends were talking and it was pushing through, the minute I was about to say, hey, what's wrong with you? Behave yourself. If you want to say hi, but respect. I was about to say it, but I just felt like, oh, okay, you know what? It's 2 a.m. He's a bit drunk. Like if I had done that, he would not have had the chance to be like that to me. But because I didn't do that, he had the chance. He had the opportunity to talk to me. If from the minute I noticed, I said, hey, what's the matter with you? Behave yourself. Just gone straight and told him off. Without no swear words, but told him off and frank. He wouldn't have had the chance to do that. You know, so sometimes we even blame ourselves. We're like, we let our guards down. I mean, imagine living like that. I let my guards down.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the difference of what people don't understand. It's like the things that to us, you know, I just feel like white people, and again, I'm just generalizing like by saying white people, but you know, these things that you have to go through, these barriers or these fears that are just set without anything even happening before you've touched or you've not even left the house type thing yet. And just, you have to walk out with that fear that something could happen, or and especially when you don't know when it's coming. You know, the way you explained it, like it just happens. It's like, what the fuck? You know, so
and most times, generally, I feel most times when it's the street ones, most people are where you can tell, you can see when you can see a young boy when they're coming, you know, that walk, you can tell, oh, troublemaker is coming there. It could be whatever kind of trouble. It doesn't have to be racist.
Yeah.
Like, so with those ones, generally, you're kind of like, you're ready, you know, because you don't know what you can. Maybe you're being judgmental, but it's the ones that you're not expecting from nowhere. Boom, oof. They catch you on the way, man. They make you silly as well. They make you feel weak as well. It's so and it's annoying. And then the only other person, like when I told you, why didn't I tell the bouncer? Yeah, I could have told the bouncer. He wouldn't have done much. But the only other person you can tell, you can tell all your friends, because they're your friends. It doesn't matter what color they are. So say I've got, you know, a couple of white friends and they're my close friends. I can tell them and they'll make me feel better. But the only other person that can make me feel very good is another black person. Because when you explain it to them, they don't even need to say anything back. They don't even have to scream, because they know what you're going through. I guess it's like, you know, like when women are talking about men in the clubs and they're being perverted. No matter how nice we are about it, only another woman will understand what another woman is going through in that. It's something like that. But
it's that mutual understanding.
Mutual understanding, yeah. But it does happen. And then the party one that I was telling you about earlier on, and even when I told you confidently that I said about 8 or 9 times I told him not to use it. Do you know how I was embarrassed to say that bit to my friends that were black, to say 8 or 9 times? Because 1 or 2 be like, why were you giving them 8 or 9 chances? And then you think as well, like, Jesus, why did I do that? 8 chances, really? but that's you trying not to go there. That's you trying not to, you know, boom, not to become aggressive, that's you saying this won't change, you know. And yet he didn't say it. Well, eventually they told him to leave. You know, my friends told him to leave the party. The guy that was just using it. Oh, that's how we talk in our country. No matter how we, and they try to explain. And then he even came, one time he came, goes, I'm really sorry. And he looked so sincere and all that. And then 5 minutes later, boom, uses it again.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know, when we're in the party, there's only one reason why all of us go to a late party, because we don't want to sleep, we want to hang out, we want to have fun, isn't it? Like, whatever troubles we have, we just want to live, you know, and for 3-4 people that, okay, let's do this, you know, and then you have to bring that, and you're like, oh God. But it's a shame, because I mean, it's always going to be there, but I don't know. It's one of them stories that it gets you all
aggro and agitated. Yeah.
Like, if you were to ask me a question which you haven't, but I'm going to imagine you have.
Just make up the question that we're pretending to ask. Yeah.
I will. And if you were to, I don't like rating it, because it doesn't, when something bad happens, it's not good to rate it. But for the sake of it, if you were to ask me, where's the one country in the whole world that you faced it more? There's one country. I'll tell you, but that country, I would never, before I went to that country, because I went twice, and before I went to that country, I wouldn't even have put that country in my top 100, even though I've not been there, based on how I like the country, the history of the country, and everything about the country. I would never even have, don't get me wrong, I believe it will happen everywhere in the world. It doesn't matter. But what I meant was that the way it happened in that country, you almost felt like the movies I've watched came to life, the 60s, and I would never that country. I remember the first time, and the reason is because I was born on St. Patrick's Day, right? Paddy's Day. So I've got this affection for Irish. And then when I started living in London, all of a sudden, coming back to live in London, every British person say, "Oh, the Irish love the accent." So you start hearing the accent, and that narrative. And me too. And then one day, eventually, 1999, a friend of ours had moved to Ireland from Nigeria, and we'd never seen him for 4 or 5 years. Went to Ireland to visit him. I think we spent 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then we have 6 months space, then we went again. Of all the countries in the world, I could have mentioned you 10 other countries that I would have been really, really like, it was Ireland. I was shocked. Like, literally, it was like nothing I've ever. It was like what you see in the movies. It's now when I speak to some people now and they're telling me about where Ireland was then, I was like, what? It was like from the minute we got to O'Connor Street, city center, the minute the taxi dropped us, we came out of the taxi like this, carrying our bag. Literally every 2 minutes, someone coming up to you, like
saying racist comments.
Yeah, like so most times when you get the upfront one, it's always guys that can fight, that want to fight, you know, like lads, you know, it's always in the night, or it's always like if it's not in the night, it would be like not the city centers, you know, and it's certain part, like if you're in certain parts of that town, you know, so like if I was in London, I will imagine, I'm not saying everybody on Oxford Street would like you, but people in Oxford Street or that kind of area are busy, or George Street during the day, it's busy, everybody's going to work, nobody has time for that, you know, maybe in the nighttime, you know. So this was daytime, literally, and women, like I've never, I had it. This is a woman coming up to you. Go back to where you came from. Like women, we were shocked all through. We're like, oh my God! It felt like the movie. We couldn't believe it. Like we were living Dublin. We were in Dublin, and a friend of ours was living out of town. We were going to get a taxi, and my friend went, "No, don't worry. Let's just get one bus. It's 40 minutes." And we were like, "Let's get a taxi." But we just thought, you know what? We're in another country. Let's get a bus and see. We literally, this has never happened to me before. Even after now, got on the bus, and everyone that sat beside us got up. The bus was, everyone that came in would sit beside us. I'm saying that Ireland was like, and I said, I've got, you know, when I say it, I feel bad. Why do I feel bad? I've got some Irish friends, I think. But it felt like what I'd seen in the movies. I'd never seen it. This is look, you need to understand, 1999 was the big millennium was coming. The way in 1999, the way they sold the year 2000, first of all, they thought all the computers would stop working because they thought the numbers won't, they thought the cash point machines, everything, because it has to go back to zero. And everyone for the world, for the first hour or two, all our gadgets will stop working. You need to go to a convention about how the world
I've never heard this before.
Yeah, you need to go and watch it. For the year 2000, it was like the world was going to stop.
Apparently, all the computers were going to stop, and everything was just
going to stop.
Yeah.
In 1999, on January 1999, New Year's Eve 2000. So you see, 1999, the word millennium came out, and they started selling us millennium. The millennium, the world was supposed to change. Everything was meant to be like a galaxy and all that, you know. Uh-huh. So, and then in that same time when they're doing all this, I'm in Ireland, and I feel like I'd been transported back to not even anything I can relate to, like only I can relate to on the movies. I was really shocked. like literally, we walked into McDonald's on O'Connor Street about 1:30 in the morning or 2 o'clock. And as we walked in, it was, say the McDonald's can hold 500 people, there were about 60, 70 people. Security guards, so me and my friend and the one that lives there, walk in. Minute we walk into O'Connor, imagine Princess Street, you walk in. And guess what? Apart from the McDonald's staff and maybe 2 people, guess what everyone started doing the minute we walked in? This is 1999. Everyone started doing the monkey sound.
What?
This is 1999, McDonald's on. So we're not saying McDonald's in, even though it's still wrong. If I told you McDonald's in a bad area, we're saying Princess Street version. Everyone started doing, everyone, but 2 people. The security guards had to come in. They noticed and they came in, and the security guards had to go, you, stop it. You start doing that, we're going to kick you out. The staffs had to go, what? We just kept walking, just walked up to the staff, ordered, and they were doing it. And the staffs were just looking at us like, sorry. They literally were going, sorry. And we were just, but you know what I felt more sorry for, even though I didn't like it? Guess what I felt sorry for? My friend that was living in Ireland. Because he had never lived here before, right? He was there. He's a student. He had a 4-year. What do you say when you can stay in the country? But he never. Papers.
Oh, like a visa.
Yeah. We're British. We're from London. We've got our passport and everything. We were free to. He never used to react. Why? Because even if he reacts and anything goes wrong, if he gets arrested, even if he doesn't get charged, it's on his. It goes on his record. It affects. It affects it. So he just accepts it. We coming from London. We had that. Honestly, like I could not. And then we come out of the McDonald's. Then this guy just starts facing us. So he's walking backwards, cursing us. My friend, I was looking at him. I just went boom. Guy fell down, and some people just went. That literally, that's how for 2 weeks, that's how we lived. I must say once, like 10 times a day. I felt sorry for him. I was like, wow.
Fucking hell.
That just brought a tear to my eye.
I could see
what you explained. I can't believe, man.
Wow. And he could not react because he was not born. He's like, if I do it, it will affect this. I was like, honestly, like, I don't like mention the island one because I have a lot of Irish friends, but and I don't know why I had other countries in my head that I thought would be like that. And I don't know why I thought, no, not Ireland. Maybe because it's part of, Irish, English, and all that. They've got history. Yeah. Maybe because of, so I don't know why I thought it won't be like, but I'd never, anywhere, even in England or anywhere else I'd been, I'd never experienced. Island Zone was like, I felt like I was on the movie set.
Yeah, so me and Chris were just saying that hearing that specific story and the amount of shock that it's given us, it's different when you see it on the news and you hear all these stories from people, but you don't have that emotional connection with someone you actually know. And as soon as you have that already existing emotional connection, you hear these things have actually happened. It's just a completely different ballgame.
I'm going to pick on what you said there. You know, when you said the news, but when you hear it from somebody that you know and you can connect with it.
Yeah.
I think it was around the BLM thing. I put a post up on Facebook. It's probably going to come out as, so that's the longest post I've ever written in my life. It will come out this year. You know how they will remind you 1 year after. When it comes up, I'll share it with you guys. That post, the only reason I wrote that post was because a lot of my friends in Scotland from the club scene, DJs and friends and promoters, and especially my white friends as well, that a few of them knew those stories and they've been asking me to talk about it. Like whenever something happens and they'll be like, Jamal, you need to put it on Facebook, I'll be like, can't be bothered, man, because you know how it is. All these kind of subjects, you put it on Facebook, you're gonna get so many different keyboard warriors and all that. But eventually I did it. And the reason I did it was because they went to me, Jamal, you know how like when you're in all these clubs and you're dancing or playing or you seem to know everyone, a majority of those people would not, even if they know there's racism, they will not think that you or Babs in that scene are going through it. So maybe you talk about it, they might be able to understand what racism is. Like, as you said, when you hear it on the news, there's no connect.
Yeah.
So I made that post. So I understand what you mean when you say that. That is true that sometimes, even though that shouldn't stop people, that doesn't mean people should still be racist. But there's a you know, like my friends, honestly, like, as I told you, when we were in Ireland, when that was going through, and so now remember, we're black, they're black. My friends are black, the ones I want to say we're black. We're going through this, Their level of racism to me is shocking. I'm like, oh my, and I'm black, and I'm going, oh. And they're looking at us like, is that not what happens to you in London? And we're like, no. And they're like, are you sure? And they even sometimes some of them, one or two people that our friend believed us. But there was time we were like in the bar. One or two people that didn't know us, they thought maybe we were just trying to show off. Like, come on, because they thought, oh, because it's London, it should be more magnified.
Yeah. Bigger city. It's like the capital of the UK.
So we're shocked at what they're going through. Like, and I'm like, this is top shelf, man. You know, like, and they could not believe, and they're like, so doesn't that? So is there no racism? I'm like, yeah, there is, but it's not like this. And I'm like, mate, even this island that's happening here. I remember we went to go into a bar, and the guy goes to us, not tonight, guys. Okay, it could be different reasons for that. Especially, you know, there's so many different. It doesn't mean, but this guy made it clear. The bouncer, and we were, why not tonight? It's nice, and our friend told us before. So we're going into the city center, and we noticed every time he took us to a bar or club, it was always somewhere dingy or somewhere. We're like, I mean, I don't mind that. But like, I want to go to some of the, you know, like if you come, for example, Edinburgh, you saw your candy bar, your 99. I want to go, you know, to some of the, and he'll be like, oh, they won't let us in. I'm like, what do you mean they won't let us in? They won't let us in, we're black. Like, what do you mean? And this is me. I'm like, come on, let's go. And we'll get there. And
this is in the 90s.
Yeah, 1999. And the bouncer told us, he goes, not tonight, lads. And I went, okay, sometimes not tonight might mean there's too many men. And this was about 7 o'clock. We have money, we're well dressed. And the guy, and when can we get in? And we went, look, we don't want your type here. He said it straight up. Now, there was an English family behind us. Mom, dad, and children. They heard what this guy said. And they went to the bouncer. And they said, you can't speak to people like that. Guess what the bouncer said to them? If you want to get in, you better mind your business.
Fuck.
Honestly, me and my friend that I'm black, that come from London, we were like, oh my, this is different from what? I looked at my friend and I was like, man, I felt even though a bouncer is saying the wrong things to me, I should be feeling, even though I was feeling bad and angry and all that, I was feeling more for the person that lives there.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I feel for you. So sorry, man. And I'm like, it's not like that. So that's another thing you're dealing with. And now we know which countries are, which places are.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's all these different levels. It's how it works is just you're navigating yourself through. It's but as I said, you know, earlier on when you guys told me let's speak a bit about it, I went, oh really? You know, that's no. You get to a stage where not that you don't want to talk about it, not that you're not proud, but you just are like, you know. We even with ourselves, like a lot of. If you notice, I don't know how many black friends you've got on your own page or people that you know. If you notice, I'm not talking about the general, like your friends themselves. Not if you notice when all that BLM was going on. Okay, 1 or 2 people were vocal, but a lot of us a lot of my black friends on this thing, we're not even talking about it on social media.
Yeah, I think a lot of the younger black people, like I was thinking about Josh Kilimanjaro, like he made a big so he should have
Josh was. And he attended the.
He actually spoke at one of the events. I think I don't know if it was in Glasgow and Kelvin Grove. I can't remember what it's called, but he actually spoke at one. I feel like maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but I definitely feel like for younger black guys, that I know, it was like it was
Yeah, so
something that was spoke about.
Yeah, in terms of the movement and all that they were speaking about, in terms of what happened to George Floyd. But what I mean is that a lot of times when people go, when some of your friends goes, oh, I didn't know that happened, because we're just tired of talk,
Mm-hmm.
like, or like those 3 incidents I told you, when someone read it and someone went, wow, I never knew. It's just because if I decide to start writing about every incident that I go through, or my friends, close friends, not just plucking a story from the news, close or people I work with, I can write something about it every day. But I'm just gonna end up angry. My post will be like, I can't live like that. You literally you get to a stage where you can't live like that. It's always gonna be there. First of all, let's not. It's always gonna be there. Well, I guess what we're looking for is for it to go down a bit, or I don't even now when you say what you're looking for, I don't even know anymore. Because you tell me, do you think we can eradicate it? The answer is no. Like my children, one of them went through it when she was 9. I knew it was coming. I've got 13-year-old and a 7-year-old. The 7-year-old hasn't gone through it yet, but I know it's coming. I remember when my firstborn was 1 year old, and I was telling her auntie that is her auntie from my mom's side, that is why, and I was saying to her, I don't know why we were talking about it, but I said we were talking about all these kind of things, and then I was like, I'm going to speak to them about it, blah blah blah, and I said I'll be the first person to tell her about all these terms that we're called, so that she's aware of it, And her auntie went, oh, why would you do that? That, times have changed. And I just laughed. And she went, why are you laughing? I don't know, because when I was young, people said times have changed. And now, for a child, that you're saying. And I was like, and then the reason I was laughing is also her optimism, and she genuinely meant it. And I so wish that that could have been true. She genuinely thought that times had changed. And you laugh not because it was funny, but you're laughing that if only that were the case. I was like, they're gonna go through. So I was telling her they're gonna go through it, and she couldn't believe it. She was like, "What?" Yeah, I go, "Yeah."
Did she live in the UK, or did she live in Nigeria?
She's Scottish. The auntie is Scottish.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying about your auntie comes to see her niece that has known her from a baby, cute, 2 years old, 3 years old, and you're now telling her, oh, one day, one day somebody's going to use the N-word to her. They're going to be, but she's related to the child. Like, how could someone say something to such a beautiful child? Like, it's going to happen. When I was just telling her this, you could see the innocence in her face. Like, no, I was like, it is going to happen. Like, as a guy, and I was like, oh, she was so shocked. The first time it happened, she was, she come, and I told her, I called her. So now I've got 7-year-old. It hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to happen. So all I'm waiting for is that the day it happens, it's not bad. It's something we can manage. It's something that, and then I don't want to, because as I said, it happens to you when my cousins that grew up while I was in Nigeria, they grew up here. Up to the age of 14, 15, when it happened, they got over it. But then they got to the age of 16, 17, when you're more clued on, and they stay.
Yeah.
So you see, that angry stage always lasts about 4 or 5 years. It's also about how, as a youth, how you handle it. That bit is very important, especially for boys. No disrespect to girls, but because boys don't talk about their feelings and they would rather lash out,
Yeah. It's just a thing that's ingrained in society, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boys are testosterone filled, like that angry alpha male, like you were saying before.
Yeah, but and that bit is very important. If you've got a child around that age, that's a very important age time to try and speak to them about. To try and let them open up and talk about it, because if you talk about things, it gets better. But when you're younger, you don't understand that thing. Like, no, I don't mean all young people, because you have people, but I'm generalizing. You don't understand that saying, oh, if you talk about it, you feel better. You understand action. No, sort it out. But it actually does help. So, but yeah, but there's so many instances that have happened, but you just have to, you just have to, the way I used to talk about, I mean, even till now, I still tell people about, because the one thing I liked was that Paddy's Day. Yeah, I'm Patrick, I'm Irish, I'm this. And then the first time I go there, that happened. And that was the same year, 1999, that MTV took MTV Base to Dublin, and P. Diddy and all the rappers were there for like 2 weeks. And that's the same time that happened. I'm like, geez, man, come on. But yeah.
Speechless.
Yeah, speechless, man. Yeah, it's that thing. It's I don't look. If you look at the way the world works, yeah, the everything is geared to the lighter your skin, the better.
Mm-hmm.
The
It
better.
is.
Even in black countries, we've I don't know if it's to do with I don't know if it's to do with racism or no, not racism, slavery or whatever. Even in black countries, the lighter your skin, if you light, if me and Chris stand together now, right, and we're standing in parts of in bleaching cream. Look at bleaching cream in Africa is massive. In Asia, in India, people are bleaching
Mm-hmm.
this to look.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
To the way it's everything is geared to the lighter your skin, the more angelic you are, the more beautiful you are, the more this you are, the more it's been done for ages that we're now in a place where
But
it's
have you noticed that white people try to copy black culture though?
so yeah, it's weird.
So that's the flip side of it, you know.
In reality, you generally most white people are not all are tanning or want to tan in reality.
Mm-hmm.
But brand wise, corporate wise, television wise, and big companies wise,
Yeah.
everything is geared to the lighter your skin, I that's how it is. Even in black countries, it's like that. Back home, it's like that. If two people stand, if I'm as I am like this, right? If I'm standing beside my friend that is lighter than me,
Mm-hmm.
and we're both standing, if I'm in Nigeria, we're both standing in front of a Bentley. If you ask generally most people who owns that Bentley, they'll point to the lighter guy, even though he's black as well. They'll say he owns it, not me.
So it's even like that. It's just the slight differences in the skin tone.
Yeah,
Even,
with condition. Yeah. Even if you look at the old slavery films, the darker ones were the ones on the field, the lighter ones were the ones in the kitchen. Go and read the stories. Go and look at all the slave films from America. The dark, because when they were taking.
Oh, we'll be able to come back once he comes back on.
I thought it was me.
Oh wait, can you say that again? Because it went off there, just to repeat that bit that you said.
Yeah. I can see Ryan only though. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. On our screen, we can see everyone.
Yeah. So if you look at the films, when they were taking slaves in those days, the way then it was like the darker you were, the stronger you were. You were strong. You were. So generally, most of the darker ones walked on the field. The lighter ones walked in the kitchen. Go and look at the films and you'll see it. Or go and read history books. It's well written. So it's come from them that times as well. Even in Africa, where we look at the darker you are, it's colorism. There's colorism as well. It's called colorism, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We have to find way as humans. We find reasons to feel better about ourselves, I guess.
I actually watched something that I thought was really interesting a couple of weeks ago that KRS-One spoke about, and he was talking about the origin of the M word and how the spelling Niger was actually meant as a king or a prophet.
Yeah,
like
it was
teacher.
Stuff. Yeah,
and they stole that word and added obviously the extra G, and that's became the derogatory term that it did. But the original meaning was a king, a prophet, and a teacher.
Without trying to go too deep into all these conspiracy theories, but there was a time, even in Europe, you had black people in charge, like in the Roman black kings and all that. So color. It was invented. Yeah, racism was invented. It was created. It was never there before. It was man-made.
Yeah.
But colorism is true. Even in Hollywood, look at Hollywood. You got black women, and you will see Hollywood will give it to Halle Berry, even though she's black, she's lighter than a real black. It happens, and then it happens within us as well. Even we do it to ourselves. In India, bleaching cream is massive. Why do you think? So I mean, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but when people talk about Hong Kong and China and how they've closed, you can't watch anything from the West in their country because they feel like they're being influenced by the West. In those countries, people who want to be, the lighter you are, bleaching cream is massive because they want to be like Westerners.
Yeah.
But in real life, then you get Westerners that want to dark, it's crazy, man.
No, I think like we could talk about it all day. We could talk about it forever. Ryan's usually got a question that he asks at the end of every podcast, or one of the last questions that we go through. And by the way, before you ask that, Ryan, I think what you've just discussed is like really important, and I hope that a lot of people that listen to it, if not everyone that listens to it, takes away the points and the stories that you've said, and thinks about, you know, everything a lot more carefully, and can share the story with other people, because there's a lot to learn from that, what you've said.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate what you've shared.
Thank you, my man. And if they don't, they should just look at the pictures. I hope they get something from that as well, if they're finding it difficult talking about it. Because I know a lot of people sent me messages saying the pictures helped them. Because when I made it for my daughter, to be honest, just to find another way to talk about it with her. And as I said, I don't go into graphics with my daughters because I don't want to scare them. I don't want them to hate. I don't want to preach hate and things like that. You know, it's like when I used to go to America a lot when I was younger. I used to go to America like every 3-4 months in the 90s, and I'll be on Broadway shopping, and you have this like pro-black activists, and I like listening to history, and it's quite evident in America. There's always somebody preaching about something on the roads, and you see a brother of 3, and you hear them say, "Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? Want to talk to you about the black man and this and that." And I like those kind of stories. I don't mind. I'll listen to them. I'll be listening. They'll be telling me the history or whatever, and then I'll be like, "So what's the solution?" And then they will say things like, "Well, the solution is," they might come up with something like, "Oh, the white man is an evil," or the white man is this, or you can't. So basically, the solution they're giving you is the same thing that you're fighting against. And I'll be like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And they'll be looking at me like, "What do you mean you can't do that?" You know. And what I mean is that my mom didn't bring me up to hate. I can't leave my home. If I don't like you, you in particular have done something to me. I can't just live my home every day hating on the next white person I see just because he's white. I can't do it. And that's the difference between America and here. But you see that those people that preach. So even as black people, a lot of people don't even know that even within ourselves, we've got arguments of how to handle this. Yeah. We've got black people that think, those of us that have got that hang in white places, so there's some black people that think, "Oh, him is not black enough." Just because you hang in the same place. Yeah, because or not that you're not black enough. Maybe you're not a sellout, but they feel like the solution.
They don't feel like you are part of the not the revolution, but like the change. To an extent, because like that if you have an opinion about some people will say that, and then those of us on one side are saying no, but that's not the solution. The solution cannot be hate as well. You can't do the same thing. But those on one side are like, I don't care. This is the only way I can sort it out. So when people, it's a big thing to sort out. Even within ourselves as well, there's a problem. How to sort it out. Like even like hip hop and all that. Look at how a lot of us are like. Personally, there's a lot of black people that will tell you they wish in hip hop they didn't use the N words anymore. And then there's the other half that will be like, no, let them keep using it. We own it. And then there's another half that don't, because we feel like let's just eradicate it. So even within ourselves, it causes problems on different levels, But everyone's going to have a different opinion about it all, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's just finding some sort of collective just agreement. Well, obviously there's the collective agreement that white people should not be using this word, but in the grand scheme of things, there should be some sort of like collective. This is how we all move forward together to try and eradicate it as much as possible. But there doesn't seem to be that sort of like. Is he gone?
Listen.
All right, you're back.
Like I remember when we were growing up in London, and there were maybe 6-7 of us, all British, Jamaican, African, Greek, Turkish, and then proper English. But we were all, and our friends, the Turkish or the Greek ones that we grew up with, band type. We were just having jokes. We were singing a song. It's in there. They will sing it. I knew them. They knew me. But that same friend of mine, if he went clubbing and he saw a brother that didn't know him anyway, he's not going to use the N-word towards him because that person doesn't know you. So he doesn't know in that instant. He doesn't know if you mean it in a good way. So just don't. Not to put yourself in any bother. Just don't use it, and then you don't have any bother. So it's quite easy, but crazy at the same time, man.
Well, Ryan, I'll let you. Your famous question that you ask.
Yeah. Well, first of all, talking about the pictures and everything, I'll put a link in the description where people can just click on that link. It will take them straight to the pictures. What's the best place for people to find that?
If they just search PapaJgun, actually, if you use PapaJgun as a search anywhere, those pictures will come up.
I can confirm that that's true. I actually searched PapaJgun on Google, and all of the photos came up. So
if you just search PapaJgun, literally.
But you should
they can go to the National Portrait Gallery. They can go to the National Portrait Gallery to check it as well. It's on their line. They can search for me on. Why is this? Can you guys still hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. We can still see you. I think the connection is just a little bit iffy.
Yeah, so National Portrait Gallery, Edinburgh International Festival, they've got it as well on their website. Or just type in PapaJgun. Oh, I Can't Breathe, actually. I Can't Breathe. And it comes up. On
amazing.
Quite a few people are hosting it, so it's there. Or they can check it on my Instagram or my Facebook, PapaJgun again.
Awesome. I'll find the link and I'll stick it down there so people can just click it and it'll take you to it. But we ask this at the end of every single podcast that we're doing with guests is if you could give 3 pieces of advice to younger people on that they're making their way through life, they maybe don't know what they want to do, or they're looking and they're searching for something to just take them forward, what would it be?
It gets better. Everything you go through when you're 21, all of a sudden you get to 27 and it's like it never happened. It gets better. You're still young. Even though at 21 you think you're an adult, it gets better. Trust me, it's all part of the process. Yes, I know most young people are looking at 1 or 2 young people that made it at that age, but in reality, the percentage of people that made it at 21 is very low to the percentage that then eventually made it when they're older. So it gets better. As far as you're on the right track, you know what you want to do. It's life. Everyone goes through, it gets better. Live your life, enjoy your life. Yes, settle down, have kids, but guess what? Don't do it too early. Look, if I met two 21-year-olds, handsome boy and a beautiful girl, and they date and they're seeing each other, I'm happy for them. But when they start getting to me, we're gonna stay together forever and ever, I'm like, shut the fuck up. No, you're not. I'm sorry. I know at that age you think you are. No, you're not. Go and look at the percentage of people. Historically, people that met each other at 21 and are still together. It's human nature. You're not gonna stay together. But so, enjoy your life. Enjoy your life. Get it out of the way. Especially men. Men need to get it out of the way. They need to sow their seeds and because by percentage again, men settle later. Women are more mature than men. I've always been more mature than men and will always be more mature than men. You need to it's a fact, right? So men, when you're supposed to settle down is maybe in your 30s. It's when you really, I'm not saying that before then you don't think about it. You can say, I want to have children, I want to be married, but really it's not until your 30s that you're really now a proper man. And then if you're a girl, by the way, if you're 24 and you want to settle down, you should be dating a guy that is 28, 29, not a 24-year-old. He doesn't want to settle down. Fuck that. If you're a 24-year-old lady, settle down. Your man should be 20. He's 29, 20, 30. That's when a man's head starts thinking, I'm just telling them the truth rather than all the lies. Just say that.
Man's being straight up.
What's the third one? So the first one is what? It gets better. Whatever it is you want to do in your career, you will make it. Just keep on track. Whatever it is, keep on track. It gets better. Second one is men, girls, and boys. Don't settle down at 21. Live your life. Enjoy your life. Because look. Married people have less sex. All right. That's not what you want.
That's a good way of putting it. Married people have less sex.
Listen, ask anybody. Married people have less sex. They have more responsibilities. They've got money. Listen. So you don't want to be that at 21. Come on. Oh my days. Oh, I'm just telling you how it is. You don't want to be that. You've got enough time to become that.
That's brilliant. So we've got, it gets better.
It gets better wherever it's a professional.
Don't settle down too early. Live your life.
Don't get too serious too early because the third one, oh God, what could the third one be? Peace, love, and harmony, or be nice.
To be fair, you said if you've got a career that you want to go for, just go for it and it will work out.
Go for it.
If you just keep being consistent
keep
with it.
on it, and it's a path. The percentage of people that made it then is minimal. It gets, you master your own work as well, and as you're growing, everything matters. Even your life, as you're maturing. That's why as you grow older, you'll notice you say hello, and everything about you makes you the perfect candidate, and eventually you will get the job or the jobs you want. So it gets better. Don't feel bad. That's life. Everyone has to go, except if you're handed it. You were born with a golden spoon, or somebody just spotted you today, which happens in life. Naomi Campbell was spotted, so it does happen, but the percentage is low. It gets better.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely gets better. Yeah. So what was the third one? Those two should be good enough for that.
If it's two, then it's two.
That's it. That's the one. Unreal.
Yeah.
I actually think that second tip's really, both are brilliant, but that second one is so real because I think nowadays so many people are just like having kids way too young, when they're teenagers, and it's just not, they're kids. If we're like anybody that's like below 25 is still really a kid in a sense, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, even in everything.
I'm 25 and I'm still a child.
Yeah.
Honestly, like for guys, the best, if you look, a guy does not become a man till when he's like 28, 29, 30, like a man. Everything about you, like when they say fine wine or how you, that's when the man then becomes a man. So up to then, don't get me wrong, some people, it suits them. But everybody, they meet someone and go, I'm in love. And yes, you can love somebody, but that doesn't mean you should. At that age, it's too young. Live your life, man. There's loads you have to accomplish to get there.
Yeah. There's a lot of internal work I think you need to do on yourself.
People have less sex.
That's number one point. Married people have less sex. All you need to think about.
They do, yeah. When you were young and free before, should we hit there? Yeah, should we hit here? When you're married, you've got so many. Don't be in a rush to get to that stage. Take your time.
I appreciate. I'm taking that advice on directly, so I appreciate it. I'm definitely not going to settle down. Sorry to any females that I upset that are listening, but it's not happening. So,
but as I said, if you're female, because women are more mature than men.
They are.
Sure. They are. But if you're a lady or you're 24, 25, you want to settle down, nothing wrong. But I think if you're 21, 22, and you want to, it's an older guy. If you look at most marriages, the guys are always what? How many years older than the lady?
Yeah.
Most, look at them. They're always 6, 7, 8 years older, because that's how it takes us 8 years to be as mature as a lady. We have to be 8 years older to.
I kind of feel a little bit bad because when this podcast comes out and people listen to this and get to this part at the end, Chris is going to have at least 5 or 6 really angry messages.
Yeah, but that's it's how we are.
What do you mean you're not going to settle down?
Oh, I never said don't settle down, by the way.
No, just not until I'm older. I agree with you. 30 is the age. 30 is the age to 28, 29, 30 is the age to be serious about it. So. No, that was a really good conversation. I appreciate everything you said and sharing those stories that are obviously, not easy topics to discuss. So I do appreciate that. So have you got anything else to add before we wrap up, Jamal?
Well, musically, I can't wait for us to get back to what we do. I miss it badly, man.
Yeah, I know. Same.
I want to be. I'm never the guy that gets drunk and falls on the floor and all that. But I'll swap that for now.
Same.
I'm never that guy that can do my drinks, but I'll swap it because I literally miss every DJ. All you DJs, I miss it. Like,
man.
Yes, I can play music in my house and all that, but And I can't wait. I miss all the, you know, the
Getting
work
out,
I
the
do.
energy in a bar, your friends are
Yeah,
DJing, there's music being played, you're loving it, you're dancing.
yeah.
Nothing can beat it.
I miss, even now I'm missing all the emails. Normally I'll be like, yeah, I'll be thinking of the next event, what to do. I can't wait to get back there. As much as I love my photography and I'm grateful and all that, I miss the music. You know.
Yeah, same. I think everyone does. Everyone's can't wait to get out and get drunk and have the worst hangover of their whole entire life.
Yeah, I need it. I'm in need of it.
Yeah.
I want it.
I want a hangover too. I want a really bad hangover.
I want it.
Once COVID's over, the hospitals are just going to be filled with people, drunk people. You know, the next pandemic.
Exactly.
Alcohol poisoning.
I'm literally going to stand in front of a DJ in a bar for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, as long as they're playing, with my drink, and I'll just stand in that same space. I'll be happy the first time. I can't.
I know, amazing.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, thanks again, Jamal. And this is us wrapping up. So it's been another episode of the Chris and Ryan Show. We hope you all enjoyed, and we will tune in with you in the next episode. Thanks, guys.
For listening. Peace.
Thank you.